Welcome back to the 2025 Twin Cities Film Fest, sponsored by Stearns Bank. I'm Blythe Whealy, hosting the red carpet here at our Marcus West End Cinema. Up next, we have our spotlight centerpiece film, The Floaters. Our director, Rachel Israel, and our producer, Shai Korman. Thank you so much for being here, you two.
Thank you so much for having us. We're so honored to be here at the center of the festival, and
Well, we're
so
honored
excited.
too. Rachel, can you kick us off with an overview of this film?
Sure. Well, The Floaters is a Jewish summer camp comedy that's about community and individualism and how the two sometimes collide. Yeah.
And Shai, I want to talk to you because I also saw your name in the writing credits besides producing. Was any of this a real life story? Did you actually go to a summer camp?
So my sisters and I share the story credit with one of the screenwriters, with Brent Hoff, and this film takes place at the camp that we went to as kids, where our parents met, and there is a lot of our life and our story sprinkled in, although it's not a biographical story by any means. At the same time, it's also really universal for a lot of people who went to camp at all, because we hear it all the time from people who went to a different camp, but they're like, "Ooh, that's what the art room looked like for me," or "Oh, wow, we had that same that same bench or something," and let alone all the traditions. So it's very personal, and at the same time, I think it's something that that a lot of people are going to feel like they see themselves in.
I definitely, it reminded me of my summer camp growing up as well, so I'm glad you also enjoyed that part of this experience of sharing yours. But I also want to talk about what it was like if you also went to summer camp. Did it feel like summer camp on set with all of you there?
I represent the viewers who have never been to summer camp
Oh,
because
wow.
I was not, and so this was a new world for me as a director.
So you got to experience it through
Exactly.
film.
So
There we go.
I'm a later life initiate.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, what was this? Okay,
What part of this maybe felt like summer camp since you never got to go? What was something that you enjoyed about this process?
What I really loved about the sense of the world is that summer camp is a place where you can choose who you want to be in a way that might be really different from who you are at home, and that just connected to me to those younger places, my younger age, when that was a really powerful idea, and now it's still a powerful idea that we can transform. Yep.
And Shai, when you look at this film, is there a scene or anything in particular that maybe you're most proud of, something that you helped write or just something that you ended up seeing in the final?
The scene that I'm most proud of and fills my heart every time is there's a big dance party scene in the movie, the rikud, which is the Hebrew word for dance, and it was always this moment that is a huge part of Jewish summer camp culture, but had never really been put on screen before. And from the first moments when we were talking with Rachel and talking to the production designers throughout, we really wanted to bring together this joyful moment. And we got to work with choreographer Maud Arnold, who's like a world-class tap dancer and choreographer who's worked with like Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds and all those people. And then the actual filming, it was filmed over 2 nights in the freezing cold, and so much went into making that. And then when you see the final cut and you see the people moving together, it just fills my heart every time to see all that joy and to be able to share that piece of what my life was growing up.
Oh, that's so neat. And the joy was certainly seen. I saw your film and I really felt that. But Rachel, when you look at this film, is there anything from behind the scenes that maybe we didn't get to see on camera, some moment that you really enjoyed?
I mean, I think just watching the actors kind of prepare these characters, and they really came up with, there are some characters where the character was written pretty small on the page, and wonderfully, but small, and our actors just would like bring a certain backstory that would like come up in surprising ways, and transformed characters that were small into something that was very alive. And some of my favorite character moments in the film come from those actors, those characters.
Yeah, you did have a great cast on this.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah. And I agree with Shai. Like, I love the dance scene. The music is a really strong element of the film, and I think sensations like music and laughter now are really, I don't know, healing at a difficult time. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
And Shai, I want to talk about, since this is somewhat a little bit personal, stories. What was it like when you think about all these nicknames that came about throughout this film? Did you have a nickname? Were any of these nicknames of friends or people at your summer camp?
So I was the nicknames. So there's yes, the nicknames are not directly the same ones as other people, but yes, at camp, like Rachel said, people are a different person, or maybe they just don't want to be the person they are at home there, and so sometimes they receive a nickname and that becomes a huge part of their identity, or they give themselves a nickname, which you'll see as you meet the different characters throughout the film, and so we wanted to have that in the movie. So One Nut, Wet Spot, Tums, the
perfect
by
nicknames.
A little known fact. The Dahlias' names are not even, in fact, Dahlia. They're just called the Dahlias. That's their nickname. On page, somewhere else, it's written down that they have 2 other names. So we thought that was a huge element we wanted to capture. And then I'll just give you a fun behind-the-scenes factoid about Tums. Tums is based on my sister, Becky, because she had so many stomach issues at camp. She was constantly walking around with Tums. And so that's where that comes from. So that comes directly from her type.
Well, that's neat to hear. I'm glad you shared that. Thank you. I think, too, when you think about what your film was able to represent, you had so many, maybe of the door open or a door closed and another one opened, especially for your lead character. Was that something that was always thought about throughout this film, or maybe a moment that you had in your own personal life that you helped bring to life?
I mean, Shai, you should answer that from the development of the script place, but I can just speak from being a woman in my 40s, and that feeling in areas of my life very found, but also other areas where I'm lost, and feeling it that way at this age is a particular thing that I thought would be really cool to bring to screen, and something I loved about it.
I mean, there's so much I love about it. I think what we really wanted was for as many people as possible to see themselves in this. So as much as it was specific to us, we're really deep believers in an approach to film where specificity makes things universal. And so we're constantly pushing to just make it feel as real and as authentic as possible. And that's really like my whole favorite piece of all of it.
Well, it showed. And really quickly, I want to talk about something I'm not as familiar, and I'm sure some of the audience won't be as familiar with the Jewish traditions. Can you talk a little bit about maybe the intentionality of putting in some of these things? I looked into more deep cuts on even 2 spoons. I know people who are going to get to see this film, they'll know what I'm talking about. But was that intentional going into this filming process?
You go.
Oh, okay, I'll go. Absolutely. My sisters and I deeply believe in that specificity in storytelling. And we really wanted to push and widen the amount of Jewish cultural references and get deeper and get more detailed. There's a lot of things everybody knows about, and that's great. But, there's a lot of things that maybe people are going to have to Google afterwards. But because Rachel is such an incredible storyteller, you're following what's going on. You know something happens with the spoons, but you might learn about it. And every once in a while from an outside, not from our own team, but from the outside, someone would say, "Oh, this is really niche. Don't you think you guys should water it down a bit?" And, Becky and I in particular love referencing, like, when you go to Lord of the Rings, are you, concerned that you don't understand the elf traditions? This is an actual thing that exists. Learn about it. And so, and some of my biggest heroes, I think a lot about Taika Waititi and Sterling Harjo, who made Reservation Dogs, which stars Sarah Podemski, who is one of our stars, which goes very deep into the Native community's details, and that specificity is so universal and so fantastic that I aspire to, one day possibly be able to do something, like that with our culture, and I think we took a huge step with this.
Yeah. I really I was down to make it Crazy Jewish. That would have been an alternate title in my brain. Just call it Crazy Jewish.
And it really helps to have a team and to have a filmmaker who has the vision of how you're going to... There's one thing is to say there's going to be a Havdalah scene. Havdalah is a scene with the candles where they say the prayers that end Shabbat. And the other thing is to be at 3 o'clock in the morning when we've been shooting all night, and it's do or die. It's going to happen, or we're not going to have it in the movie. And to have a director and a crew who are like, we are doing this now. And because we want to make sure that we get those things in there so that people can see and feel connected to it.
Well, I enjoyed, like you said, Googling it, and getting to look into it further, so it did exactly that. I know they're letting me know that we're out of time here, but I have really enjoyed talking with both Rachel and Shai and their film, The Floaters. Make sure you're checking it out. Thanks so much for joining me here at the Twin Cities Film Fest.
Thank you so much for having us. We're really excited.
Thanks for
to be
having
here.
us. We're having a blast.
Well, on behalf of both Rachel and Shai, we'll be back here. More interviews throughout the week. Make sure you're checking it out. Thanks.